Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. So today I have another cold steel AD-10 that I'll be customizing. Now I've customized a few of these in the past, and since this has the aluminum liners, I always wondered if I was to create new liners out of G10, specifically a different colored G10 or material. I've even thought carbon fiber, but since they do sell G10 this thin, figured why not replace the aluminum with the G10 and see if it still works, which I think it will. And hopefully the action is just as smooth as the aluminum because it is riding on washers. So I don't think it'll really affect anything. It might make it slightly lighter since aluminum is already light, but we'll definitely weigh it and see if the weight is affected by the G10. And I'm going to be using red G10 liners. So very thin material. I believe this is a 1/16 inch liner. So I did order some red G10. I don't have it on hand, but that is what I will be using. And I won't be taking the knife apart since I've done that in the previous videos. But enough talking about it. Let's get straight into it and customize it. So here it is all finished, and let's take a close look at the G10, red G10 liners, and they came out really well. And I know it seems like a simple job, but I still had to make sure these holes were pretty accurate because they have to go through obviously the liner and then through to the black G10 scales. So it was a little tricky to get perfect, but I took my time and the holes all line up and it functions. So can't wait to see it all put together. I did assemble it for doing the fit up against the G10 scales. So I did get a quick glimpse of it and it looks really good against that black. So I'm really anxious to get this all put together. And another thing I did was etch and stone wash the blade, lock bar, and pocket clip. Now I did this off camera, since I do have a video on it on how to etch and stonewash your blade. So I'll leave a link up here in the corner somewhere where you guys can check out that video if you haven't seen it already, or want to learn how to etch and stonewash a blade, which I'm really happy with how this turned out. Really nice dark effect. And then I also went ahead and put that scallop texture on the spine of the blade. And then really quick, I'll show you the lock bar. It did the same thing. Feeds into the spine of the blade, so all one pattern, consistent. And then of course that little extra touch that I like to do on most of my knives, or almost every knife. I did the same scallop texture on the edge of the pocket clip. Now I did have an idea while I was customizing this knife, and as you guys know, I did the Stormtrooper themed AD-10, and the red and the black got me thinking to do a Darth Vader. This was going to be the Darth Vader theme, but I just wanted to test this out and make sure it worked. But I do want to get another AD-10 and then do a Darth Vader theme, which I think the red dark matter from Fat Carbon will look really good on it, since it has that cool shift and then a little bit of the red, which we all know Darth Vader's lightsaber is red, so I think it'll go really well. And then one last thing I did is I heat anodized all the hardware, kind of a gray blue, just it's a small subtle touch, just to go with the etched blade, lock bar, and pocket clip. So enough talking, let's make this thing happen by putting it together. Here it is, all put together, and I am really happy with how that red pops against the black, and the etched and stonewashed pretty much everything that I could stonewash, and it just looks really good. And I want to show you guys when it's opened, you can see how much red is exposed. I think it just looks really unique. It's a subtle change. I mean, other than everything else being etched and stonewashed, that subtle change in the liners I think makes a huge difference. And I think it looks really good. Let me know what you guys think down below. I always appreciate your guys' input. So I'm thinking maybe to put that CNC to work, and before I can get down the scales, which is going to be a lot more work, I'm assuming, since the liners are just kind of a basic thin shape and just basic holes. I think this is something I could maybe produce on, not a production level, but produce something to where I can sell something to you guys, where you guys can customize a knife. Let me know down below if you think that's a good idea. Is this something you guys would purchase if I was able to produce them on a much larger scale and at a faster pace? I think it'd be pretty interesting. I definitely want to do more colors. I think like a bright green or lime green would look really good against the black. Even blue. Honestly, any color I think would look really good against the black. This reminds me of a tuxedo. I don't know if you guys are Rush Hour fans, but there's a suit that Jackie Chan wears with the black and the red, and this is what this reminds me of. But I think it looks good. My personal opinion, I think it looks really good, and I'm glad I tried it, because I just always thought there has to be a way to change the liners since it is writing on washers, and I'm glad I did it, because this is the result. I just really love that amount of red you get to see when it's opened up. And I do like that the action is still the same, still very smooth. It's got that snappy bite that cold steel is known for and that I'm personally scared of most of the time. But functions, flies right out, drop shut's really good, and yeah, it doesn't really affect anything other than the look, but very happy with it. Also, really quick before I forget, let's weigh this just to see how much we're saving or added. I highly doubt we added any weight, but let's see what we get. So we are at 6.77 ounces. So originally it was 7 ounces. Now it's down to 6.77, which is a difference of 0.23 if my math is correct. So not a crazy difference in the weight loss, but you did lose a little bit of weight. Like I said before, a Darth Vader version, but upgrade the scales. I might do the red liners again because that just looks really good in my personal opinion. But that is it, the Cold Steel AD-10 with red liners. As always, you guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for the support, and I'll see you guys on the next one.